day tres, day three, day dry. I don't know any others. I know Spanish. I know German. That's about it. I have no idea. We teach Italian in our school, but I don't know what that is. My name is Mr. Key. At least for today. It's normally Mr. Krause, but today we're going to call it Mr. Key. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of day 3. Action. Area of a triangle. Law of sines. Law of cosines. And something to do with forces. Alright, kids. This shouldn't take long. I think we got 17 problems. Alright. Blow this sucker up so you can see it better. Oh, look at that. That's so nice. There we go. Alright. Find the area of a triangle. Now, as soon as I see this word right here in A2 trig, I know I'm coming over to my formula sheet, which has all this stuff on it I'm going to get rid of right now. I know. I come right here and I say, oh, area in trig. There's like a really good chance you're going to be using this formula. Now, why they chose K, I have no idea. You know what I would have chose? D for Dunkin' Donuts. What difference did it make? Like Dunkin' Donuts? I'd just pick that one because it's so delicious. Thank you, Dunkin' Donuts. It's 5-something in the morning, and I'm doing trig with my friends. All right, so we're going to use that formula. That formula is area. I don't like the word K. I'm just going to even write, right? Area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 A times B times the sine of C. Now, you have to be careful using this formula. The only thing you have to be careful of is that whatever two sides you pick, you have to use the included angle. What does included mean, Mr. Krause? Well, let me tell you. Included angle means the angle in between the two sides you're going to use. I don't know if that's the official definition, but that's really all you need to know. So if this is capital A, little a is over here, 724. And if this is C, then little c is opposite it, so this is 17. And we were given that angle B is 150. Okay, so I start you out with a really simple case where you have a side, the included angle, and another side. So all I got to do is bust a move. Ooh, when I bust a move, I need more Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I know. I can cut these videos down in half if I just stop drinking coffee. Actually, I don't even think that's true. I think if I stopped drinking coffee, what would happen is the video would slow down. All right, anyway. Oh, hey, by the way, all of this material can be found on my website at www.mrkrausemath.com. Let me show you real quick. Bang. I don't know why. So it's right here. It's mrkrausemath.com. You know you got there when you see my ugly mug in the corner. And you go to Regents Review. Now, I've got Algebra 1 Common Core. Tell your friends if you're taking Common Core or Algebra 1, all the Regents exams are right there. I haven't done Geometry just because Geometry is kind of annoying. But there's Algebra 2 Trig. Those are all the Regents exams in Algebra 2 Trig. And then the topic reviews are right here. And, oops, let me refresh that. I know there's 2 of them up now. So I've got day 1, which was logarithms. Day 2, which is trigonometric formulas and equations. And day 3, rocking right now. So it'll be up there soon. It should be up there probably by the time you look. Okay, so we're going to go back to this formula. We just type in the numbers. And it doesn't really matter what A is. You know, some kids are like, well, I have to use A and B, but I don't have B. It doesn't matter what you use. A and B just represent two sides. Angle C represents the angle that's included between them. So it really doesn't matter. So 17, 24, and 150. And let's see. Sine of 150 is, I'm just going to do this in my head, is 30. Excuse me, 1/2. Half of 12. Half of 24 is 1/2. Half of that is 6. 6 times 17 is 102. Nope, not 102 degrees, just 102. Oh, you don't believe me? Oh, all right. Whatever. Let's just do it then. 0.5 is 1/2 times 17 times 24 times the sine. Hopefully I'm in degree mode. sine of 150. 102. Oh, yeah. Don't doubt. Don't hate. Don't doubt. All right. Find the area of the triangle. So we'll do one more easy case. I think this is one more easy case. Maybe I'll do two more easy cases. I don't know why. I shouldn't do two easy cases. I should just do one more easy case, but whatever. Maybe I'm nice to you. Maybe I want to be nice to you. Draw a triangle just so you know what's going on. A, B, C. A is 7. Or C is 7. A is 10. And B is 40. All right. Another simple case. So area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 7 times 10 times the sine of 40. And no, can't do this one in my head. It's close to this one, though. 40. The 10? I think it was 10, right? 10 and 7. Same thing. 1/2 times 7 times 10 times sine of 40. Probably would take me less time to just type it in. God, I'm lazy. Ooh, 22.49756. 22.49766. 6339. Find the nearest integer. So 44. I got a 4. Don't be that person who says the 7 rounds this to 50 and 50. No, it's 22. You only look at the 4 here. Just look at that 4. That 4 tells you don't round up. Now we've got a problem. So let's see what we're going to do here. So I've got triangle. I didn't give you much room on this one. A, B, and C. Angle B. I keep giving you angle B. I don't know why. I'm not very nice. 30. A is 25. The area is 60. And they want us to find C. Okay, we're just going to use the same formula. So 60 is equal to 1/2 times A, which is 25, times B, which we don't know. Actually, it's C we don't know, right? Probably should call it C. I called it X, so I'm going to call it X. You could call it C. All right, wait. You don't like this? Let's call it C. Times C times the sine of 30. Forgot where we were going. All right. Well, let's see here. I'm going to do it this way. 60 equals, and I'm going to type all the stuff that's numbers in. So I'm going to type this in, and I'm going to type this in into my calculator and see what I get. So I'll do 0.5 times 25 times the sine of 30. And before I hit this, I'm just going to tell you, sine of 30. I'm going to just tell you it's 6.25. It's amazing. I know. It's a gift. You're probably thinking, wow, I wish I had that gift, especially on June 17th, this year at least. 6.25 times C. So we're going to divide by 6.25. Divide by 6.25. And I know it's 9 something. So 60 divided by 9.6. 9.6. Boom. All right, we've got another one that's backwards. Find the area of the triangle. So I'm giving you the area. So we're going to use this formula. Area equals 1/2 AB times sine of C. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's back up the crazy train here. This one's a little bit more tricky, so I probably need to stop and talk about it for a second. All right. Now, most of you are just reading through it and going, it's just one of those stupid area questions. It's really easy. And I've had Dunkin' Donuts coffee this morning, so it shouldn't be a problem. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah? You're about to. Let me draw this triangle. See, here's the thing. What we're looking for are, all right, so we've got 8 and 10. So I could draw the triangle like this, where this is 8, and this is 10, and this is the area 45, and they're looking for this angle, X. Or I could draw the triangle that looks like this. My drawing skills are terrible. Or I could draw a triangle that looks like this. And we're looking for this angle. See, the problem with it is it can be an acute angle or it can be an obtuse angle. And if you remember correctly, when we're dealing with sine, I could have an angle that's 30 degrees in a triangle, but I could also have an angle that's 100 and, if this was 30, this would be 150 degrees in a triangle, because sine is positive in first quadrant. So what we're going to do is this. It's very simple. We're going to solve for sine c, and then we're going to just solve for c. So my area is 45 is equal to 1/2 times 8 times 10 times the sine of c. Well, half of 8 is 4. 4 times 10 is 40. So I end up with, oh, it's 18. Thank goodness, because this was just not about to work. This is 18. So half of 18 is 9. 9 times 10 is 90. So I end up with 45 equals 90 times the sine of c. Divide by 90, and I get the sine of c equals 45 over 90. Now I want c by itself, so I've got to take the inverse of both sides. So c is really equal to, remember, any time you're looking for an angle, you're going to be doing inverse sine at the end. That's the last step. If it says what is the angle, the last thing you're going to type in your calculator is inverse whatever trig function you're using. Yes, I know this is a half. So we're going to do inverse sine of 45 divided by 90. I just want to make sure you understand it doesn't matter what the fraction is. So it's 30 degrees. So I ended up with, oh shoot, I ended up with sine equals 30 degrees. I actually knew that was coming. So again, I just kind of gave this away. Sine could be equal either 30 degrees in this quadrant or 30 degrees in this quadrant. So it said find the two possible measures of the angle. Well, the two possible measures are 30 degrees or 150 degrees. I really didn't know that one was turning out that way. All right. The word exact means put your calculator down now. You hear me? So, triangle ABC. A, B, C. Oh, this is a bad example. I'm going to change this to 60. I'm going to change it to 60 because otherwise it's a stupid question. I can just use my calculator. So B is 12, C is 16, and we're going to call this 60 degrees. So if you did it before, do it with 60 degrees. I'll wait. So we're going to use this formula. Area equals 1/2 A times B times the sine of C. Now, I don't care that it's just, again, it represents two sides and the angle in between them. All right, so we're going to just type this in. Now, if I use my calculator, 1/2 times 16 times 12 times the sine of 60 degrees. If I type that in my calculator, I would end up with a decimal. So you can't do that. 0.5 times, 16 times 12, 16 times 12 times the sine of 60. It would just give you some dumb decimal, but that's not the exact answer. Even if you write down all those decimal places, that's not the exact answer. So you have to know somehow what the sine of 60 is. So this is, let's go, half of 16 is 8. 8 times 12, 8 times 10 is 80, so this is 96. So I get 96 times. Now, I need to know what the sine of 60 is. You either memorize these triangles, 30, 60, 90, where this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, and this is the square root of 3. And you memorize it, 60, sine of 60 is the square root of 3 over 2, or you just memorize it, square root of 3 over 2. So that's the area, and then so my final area would be, since this is over 1, 2 goes into 96 48 times, so I end up with 48 square roots of 3. All right, I got to pause. I'll be right back. 6:09. Hey, I'm back. Don't know where I am. Can't seem to find anything. Oh, there we go. Finally. All right, so the how many triangles question. How many triangles can be formed? Question. So let me just tell you, the answer is always going to be 1, 2, or 0. It cannot be 3. You can't make 3 triangles. There's no way you get 3 possible answers. So let's draw it up. A, B, and C. A is 35. Little a is 10. Little b is 13. So the trick is you need to find another angle. The only angle I can find based on this information is this one right here. And we're going to use the law of sines. Do you remember the law of sines? It's right here. You need any 2 angles, any 2 sides. Okay. What in the heck's going on? Oh, I know what's going on. Darn. All right. So, law of sines says you take the side and you put it over the sine of the angle. Equals the side, 13, over the sine of the angle. In this case, it's sine of b. Then we're just going to simply cross multiply. 10 times the sine of b. Again, we're looking for an angle, right? So my last step will always be inverse. In this case, inverse sine. 13 times the sine of 35. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. And I get the sine of b is equal to whatever this is. So the sine of b equals, let's see, control division, 13 times the sine. I think my head's in the way here. Sine of 35. I'll try to remember to get that out. All over 10. Enter. Some number, 0.745, 0.745. Seems like my head might be in the way there. Well, hopefully you can see that. All right. Try to keep my head over there. 745,649. So the last step is to take inverse sine. So we're going to get b is equal to, we're going to do inverse sine of that. Inverse sine of that answer. Don't round until the very end. 48.2. So 48.2. Now we don't need more than that because that's going to be one of our possible angles. So now we got to decide. Here's our decision. Oh wait, before I decide it, b can be 48.2, but sine is also positive in the second quadrant. So to find the other angle, I'm going to take 180 and subtract this answer. And you get 131.7, which is really 138 degrees. So 138. So my 2 answers are either going to be 48, not 138, 132, right? Or 132. So now we have a decision to make. Can I make 1 triangle or 2 triangles or no triangles? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with 35 was our original angle. We're going to add 48. And that gives us, let's see, 70, 83. Well, we know we have to have 180 degrees in a triangle. So clearly there's enough left over. There's almost the last angle would almost be 100 degrees. So we can get 1 triangle. So that's 1 triangle. Then we're going to take 35 and we're going to add 132. That gets us up to 167. That third angle would have to be 13 degrees, but it would get us to that 180 degrees. So yes, I can make another triangle. So the answer is I can make 2. This is just, there we go. That's better. All right. So it's the same question. I want to know whether or not, because if I can make 1 triangle, it's usually going to be an acute triangle. If I can make 2 triangles, the second one's usually the obtuse triangle. So it's really the same question. I just got to decide if I can make 1 triangle or 2. So we're going to do the same work. We're going to put a over the sine of a. It has to equal, not a, but 9. 9 over the sine of A, so because we're going to find angle A, and 10 over the sine of B. So 10 over the sine of 70. I'm going to cross multiply. So 10 times sine A has to equal 9 times the sine of 70. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. Again, the last step will be that inverse sine. So I end up with sine A equals something. I got to figure out what that is. 9 times the sine of, the sine of 70 divided by 10, 0.845723. 0.845723. I will inverse sine that. And I get 57.7. So A equals 57.7. Or, you always got to find that other angle. Or, we'll take 180 and subtract that. Can't minus things, it's not a word. 122.3. 122.3. So now we got to decide if we can make. We have a decision to make. So here's our decision. We're going to start with a 70-degree angle. So here's our decision. Let me get to my blue. We're going to make decisions. We're going to start with 70. We're going to add 57.7. That's 127.7. That leaves us lots of extra, about a 50-degree angle. That leaves us a lot of extra for that third angle, because remember, they got to add up to 180. So as long as they stay below 180, we're okay. So that would be, oh wait, hold on, I got to actually figure out what that angle is. So 120, so I'm going to take 180 and I'll subtract off 127.7, right? Was that what it was? And I get 52.3. So that third angle would be 52.3. So my three angles are 70, 57, and 52.3. That's an acute triangle. Cute little triangle. My other decision to make is I can do 70 and 122.7. Those add up to 192.7. Notice I am already over 180. If you're over 180, that doesn't work. You can only make one triangle. So the answer to this question is only an acute triangle can be formed. I'll be back. Okay, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm so excited to be here. All right, from a point on, I'm just going to keep going. I don't even know where we started from. I started this in the morning. I'm finishing it now. Anyway, on a point, blah, 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 blah. They want us to find the height. They want us to find the height of this thing. So let me blow this up. I want to find the height of this thing. So look, if I told you this was like a 4-point question, then you got to decide, okay, if it's a 4-point question, there's going to be quite a bit of work to be done. All right. And I look at the triangles and I look at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, if this is a 4-point question, there's probably going to be a law of sines or cosines in here somewhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the angles. So all the angles, if I find this one, it's 114. If I take 180 and let's do this. If I take 180 and subtract off 114 and I subtract off 39, I get 27. So that's what this one is, 27. And then if I take 180 and subtract off 90 and subtract off 66, that ought to tell me that this one up here is 24. Okay, so as I'm working in these triangles and I'm looking at these triangles, if this is a 4-point question, there's like a 90% chance that you're not going to be able to find this directly. So what we have to do is almost every single time try to find the side that they share. And in this case, the side that they share is that x. Do it this way. The side that they share is that x. So what we're going to do is we're going to work in this triangle right here. This one right here. And the only thing I know is this 43. So we're going to use the law of sines. We're going to say 43 over the sine of the angle opposite it, which is 27 in this case, is equal to x, which is what I'm looking for, over the angle that is opposite it. Remember, don't just put a 39 down here. It's actually the law of sines. And when you have the law of sines, you actually have to use the word sine, not the word, but the function sine. So we'll cross multiply. I'm missing some of my favorite pens. Let's see if I can add a few more friends. I got 5 favorite pens. Let's go 6 and 7. Okay. That didn't really help. Why is... I have no idea. Whatever. Who cares? So I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do x times the sine of 27 is equal to 43 times the sine of 39. Notice I always put the function thing afterward. I put the function second. I put the number first. Then we're going to divide by sine of 27. Now I'll do this over my calculator. Control division 43... Doggone it. 43 times the sine of 39 divided by the sine of 27. Doggone it. Why that did that? 27. Okay. 59.606, blah, blah, blah. So x equals 59.606,482, so on and so forth. So that's this space. We now have x. We now know this one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on this triangle right here. We're going to concentrate on that triangle. And so what we have here is we have this value now. So I'm going to put that value over the angle opposite it. So 59.606482 over the sine of 90. And yes, I know the sine of 90 is 1 and it's not very necessary, but I'm going to use it anyway, is equal to the h over the angle that's opposite it, h over the sine of 66. So if I do h times the sine of 90, and yes, again, I know the sine of 90 is 1, so do you, equals 59.606,482 times the sine of 66. And then I'm going to divide by sine of 90. Now, I don't need to divide by the sine of 90 because, again, I already said it, it's 1. So I'm just going to get rid of it. So h equals, if you divide by a sine of 90, it will work. So I'm going to do this, enter, times the sine of 66. And I get 54.45, 54.45323. Now, this is my final answer. This is the only answer that can be rounded. Do not round early. I cannot stress that enough. Do not round early. It's going to be a problem. Nearest meter. So my final answer is h equals 54. You don't need to put units on it. All right, we're moving on. So here's what we got. We got from the top of a cliff, the angle of depression to the top of the bottom of the tower is 30 meters high, 75 degrees, 80 degrees, respectively. The base of the tower is at the foot of the cliff. Find the height of the cliff. It's a very fuzzy picture. Boy, is that awful. Whoo. Don't know what happened there. This would be the height of the cliff right here, right? If I'm working right here, that would be the height of the cliff. So I've got this really big angle, big triangle, and I've got this other triangle. Now, I can't stress this enough, kids. I can't stress it enough. Almost every single time you do this, you're going to have to find this middle value. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out all my angles. That's 75. This is 90. That makes this 15. If that's 15, then this is 165. If this is 75 right here, then this is 5. 5 and 65 makes 70. That makes this a 10-degree angle. Now, they don't look exactly like that, but that's what they are, kids. So, get that over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to work in this triangle right here. So I got the 30 meters. It's opposite of the 5-degree angle. So 30 over the sine of 5 is equal to x over the sine of 10. So we'll cross multiply. X times the sine of 5 equals 30 times the sine of 10. Divide by the sine of 5. And I get x equals 5. So control division, 30 times the sine of 10 all over the sine of 5. 59.77168. So 59.77168. I say always at least 6 decimals, 188. Something to that effect. Okay, so now we have that. All right, so what do I want? What do I want? I ultimately want the height. So if I could find this side right here, I'd be probably in pretty good shape. Find this height right here. So what I'm going to do is, let's call this y. Y will go over 75 and x will go over 90. So x over the sine of 90. Wait, hold on. I already know what x is. That's this thing. So it's 59.77168188 is equal to y over the sine of 75. All right, cross multiply. I get y times the sine of 90. Wait a second. The sine of 90 is just 1, so I don't really need that. Is equal to 59.77168188 times the sine of 75. Put that in my calculator. So it's this thing times the sine of 75. And I get 57.735. I don't know what happened. So y equals 57.735001. 735,001. 011. All right, but that's just this. That's just this part right here. 57.735, so on and so forth. But to that, that's just this piece. So I got to add the 30 on it. So my final answer is that thing plus 30. So my y equals 87.735001 rounded to the nearest meter. So my answer is y equals 88. Double eights. Oh, this is another how many triangles question. So we've got triangle ABC. Let me draw this up. Triangle A, B, C. Let's see what I was given. A is 24. Oh, I didn't tell you the angle. We'll go with A. So A is 65. Little a is 24. B is 25. So our goal is to find out what one of the other angles is. In this case, the only angle we really need to find is this one right here, B. So we're going to go 25 over sine of B is equal to 24 over the sine of 65. We'll cross multiply. 24 times the sine of B. Since I'm going to be looking for an angle, the last step I have to do is inverse sine. So 25 times the sine of 65. And divide by 24. Divide by 24. Ching, ka-ching. And I get sine B equals some mess. So control division. 25 times the sine of 65 all over 24. And I get 0.94407. 0.990. What am I doing? 0.94407. 0.94407. 0611. 0611. But it doesn't really matter because that's not the answer. I got to do inverse sine of that thing. So B is equal to inverse sine of that. 70.746. 70.7. Now, I don't really care about being exact because what I need to do now is I need to make a decision. Do I have one triangle? Do I have two triangles? Do I have no triangles? So here's what we got to do. It's 70.7, or let's just call it 71. Or it can be 180 minus 71, which is 109. We have to decide if I can make one triangle or two triangles out of this. And so here's what we do. You say, okay, we're going to start with 65 degrees. And then we're going to add to it 71. That gives me 136. So if I take 180 and subtract off 136, that leaves me 44 degrees for that last angle. So there's a triangle right there. And it's an acute triangle because they're all small angles. Then I'm going to say, okay, we can start with 65. The other thing it could have been was 109. I add those up, and I get 174. Ooh, man, that's close. But yes, my third angle would just have to be 6 degrees. So I got these 3 degrees. And yeah, that would make a second triangle. In this case, because I have an angle bigger than 90 degrees, that would be an obtuse triangle. So both an acute and obtuse triangle. All right, I'll be right back. All right, let's do this. What do we got? Next problem. Shoo. So I'm going to try to tell you approximately what the point value of each of these questions are. In a triangle, two sides that measure 610 form a triangle. Oh my God, stop doing this. In a triangle, two sides that measure 6 centimeters and 10 centimeters form an angle that measures 80 centimeters. To the nearest degree, the measure of the smallest angle. Okay. So 6 and 10, and they form an angle of 80 degrees. So he says, find to the nearest degree the measure of the smallest angle. The only thing I got to do is find the other angle. Wait a second here. I can do 6 over the sine of that, don't have it. Or I can do 10 over the sine, I don't have that either. So really, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. I have side, angle, side. And I know if I have two sides, then I should be using the law of cosines. Two sides, law of cosines. Okay, that's not a problem. The law of cosines is easy. I need to find an angle. Well, oh, wait a second now. Actually, the first thing I got to do is find this side. So I guess this would be like a 4-point question. First we got to do is find this side, maybe. I think I can find that side. Let's find that side. X squared is equal to. Now, what it works is whatever you're looking for and the angle that's opposite go at the beginning and the end. So at the end here, I should have cosine 80. These two make the other formula. So the formula is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. But really what it is whatever goes at the beginning and the ends, it should be the same letters. And then the other two sides just kind of get filled in for b and c. So in this case, it's going to be 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10. And that's it. Because these are all numbers, over here, I can just type that baby into my calculator. So that's what I'm going to do. Oops. 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10 times the cosine of 80 degrees. Now I'm going to get some large number, 115.1622, 115 point, and I'll have some moron. I like to call them morons because they're cool kids and they do dumb things sometimes. 2218. Think that that's actually the answer. You can't have a side with 6 and 10 and 115. That doesn't make sense, right? The next step would be to take the square root of both sides. Now, normally you'd put plus or minus, but since we're dealing with lengths, you can't have a minus. So we're just going to take the square root. So square root of that. And I get 10.7. Now, this is not my final answer, so I'm just going to do this. 10.731661, something like that. All right. So now what I do, now I got to go back and look at my diagram. Now, this is the biggest side, so it will be opposite the biggest angle. And 6 is the smallest side, so it will be opposite the smallest angle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the law of sines to find that final angle that I'm looking for, because it's going to be opposite the smallest side. So here's the smallest side. The smallest angle would be this one. We'll just call that y. So 6 over the sine of y is equal to that obnoxious number I just got, 10.73137313611 over the sine of 80. Cross multiply, I get 10.7313611 times the sine of y equals 6 times the sine of 80. Divide by this obnoxious number. Divide by this obnoxious number. Now what you're going to end up with is sine of y equals something. Now remember, the last step when you're looking for an angle is always inverse. So I'm going to do 6 times the sine of 80 divided by this. Doggone it. Divided by well, it's not going to, that's going to have a hard time getting it there. So I'm just going to do control answer, because that's whatever the last answer is. Enter. You get some weird decimal, 0.5506, 0.5506. 145. Remember, the last step is always inverse sine. So we're going to do menu, or trig, inverse, sine inverse of that. And we get 33.404, 33.409. What does it say, round to the nearest degree? So the answer is 33 degrees. I didn't leave much room for that one. Sorry. Given the following information, oh my gosh, there's so many more problems. Given the following information, how many different triangles can be made with this? Okay, so we'll start with this. A, B, C. This is going to be an interesting problem. If you got time, stop. Try it on your own. A is 50. 110. So we're going to put 50 over, anytime you're asking for about triangles, you know, in this case, it's probably going to be, anytime you're asking about how many triangles question, it's probably the law of sines. 50 over the sine of 32 is equal to 110 over the sine of, in this case, we're going to look for B. So 50 times the sine of B is equal to 110 times the sine of 32. Divide by 50. So I'm going to do control division, 110 times the sine of 32 divided by 50. And I get 1.16, so I get the sine of B. Now, some of you at this time are smart enough to realize something's wrong. 1658, that's good enough. And at this point, you should realize that sine can't be bigger than 1. So we have a small problem here. But if you don't realize it right away, it's no big deal. You come over here, you try to do the inverse sine of this thing you came up with, and you're like, what? Huh? Okay. The answer to the law of sine questions is usually, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 0. The answer is how many different triangles can be formed made with this? It's never 3. So it's either 1, 2, or every once in a great, great while, it's no triangles. And in this case, it's no triangles. All right, so from point P, we want to find the height of the building. So we want to find the height of this building. All righty. So what we're going to do first is find all the angle measures. 6240 minus 5510. So does not like when I touch it over there. I don't know why. 6240 minus 5510. Doggone it. Forgot to get out of that mode. So it's 7 degrees, 30 minutes. So 7 degrees, 30 minutes. So this is 90. I'm going to take 90. I'm going to take 180, subtract 90, and I'm going to subtract 5510. And we'll DMS that just to keep everything in degrees, minutes, seconds. 34 degrees. That's this one up here. 34 degrees. Let me just do it this way. 34 degrees, 50 minutes. Let me just get this one right here. I might need it. 180 minus... So that's 145.10. Wait, no, that's not what I want. Yeah, that's 145.10. 145 degrees, 10 minutes. I got one left to do. So I'm going to take 180. I'm going to subtract off this. And then I'm going to subtract off this. And then DMS it. And I get 27 degrees, 20 minutes. So that's what this one is. 27 degrees, 20 minutes. Woo. Okay. So I want to work, remember, we're going to try to find this value right here, x, because you always got to find the side in the middle. So we're going to do x over. Now, finding the side that's angle that's opposite is kind of tricky. It's this one right here, over the sine of 27 degrees, 20 minutes is equal to, now the only thing I have is this 7.4. So 7.4 over the sine of, let's find that angle. It's this little dinky one down here. 7 degrees, 30 minutes. All right, so we're going to cross multiply. So we get x times the sine of 7 degrees, 30 minutes is equal to 7.4. Notice I always put the trig thing second, not first. Sine of 27 degrees, 20 minutes. And then we're going to divide by sine of 7 degrees, 30 minutes. Sine of 7 degrees, 30 minutes. Wham, bam, bam. So I get x equals, so 7.4 sine of that. So I'll have to retype it. Damn. Let's try this again. Control division. 7.4 times the sine. What in the heck is going on here? Oh, you're going to make me mad. So control division, 7.4 times, there we go, the sine of this. Where is it? I lost it. Somehow I lost it. I don't know how I lost it. Wow, what happened? Well, 2720. 2720. Oh my gosh. 27. I'm having a rough night, guys. Sorry about this. 20. All over. Holy crap. The sine of. That one's there at least. This. Oh, of course we put it in the wrong place. Not going to like me there. Let's do the answer. Woo. Enter. 26.0318. So x is equal to, finally, 26 point, I should have just changed these all to no degrees, minutes, seconds. 0318, 03180, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to use that to find h. So we're going to do h over the sine of 5510 is equal to this 26.0318 all over the sine of 90. And again, yes, I know you don't need the sine of 90. So h times the sine of 90. But again, remember, sine of 90 is really just 1, so we don't need it. Is equal to 26.0318 times the sine of 55 degrees, 10 minutes. And so I get h is equal to this times the sine of 55, 10. 2136. So h is equal to 21.367. Now at this point, we're going to start looking at rounding, 3, 4. And at this point, they want us to round to the nearest meter. So the answer is h equals 21. All right, let me pause. I'll be right back. You know, I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. A hiking trail is planned in the shape of a triangle. Oh, geez, isn't that lovely triangle? We're going to do 2.3. I don't care if they don't look all right. 8.1. You don't have to make it look perfect. 6.2. Find the nearest 10th degree, the largest angle of the triangle, and then find the area. All right, well, in order to use the area, this is nice because in order to use the area formula, which I know it says K equals, but I hate that formula, we have to use 1/2 A times B times the sine of C, where C is the angle between the two sides that you're going to use. So the first thing they do is want us to find the largest angle. That's got to be this one because it's opposite the longest side. Because I have side, 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 I have to use law of cosines. And this is the hard case of the law of cosines. Remember, the law of cosines is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 bc cosine a. All right. Where this and this have to match. So if I want 8.1, that's got to go here, and the angle that I'm looking for, that has to go there. So we're going to do 8.1 squared equals 2.3 squared plus 6.2 squared minus 2 times 2.3 times 6.2 times the cosine of A. Now, we have to do this in pieces. You need to come up with this piece and then this piece because there is subtraction in the middle. You can't just put all this stuff together like you wanted to. So 8.1 squared, we'll get rid of you. 8.1 squared equals 6561. Equals, and I'm going to just type this in right here, 2.3 squared plus 6.2 squared equals 4373 minus 2 times 2.3 times 6.2 equals 2852. 28.52 cosine A. So now we're going to bring this over to the other side. So we're going to subtract 4373. So 65.61 minus equals 2188 equals negative 2852 times the cosine of A. Divide by that. And so what I end up with is cosine A equals this fraction. Well, okay, I'm just going to do, in order to find an angle, I'm just going to do inverse cosine of that. So inverse cosine of 21.88, this, divided by negative 28.52. This is the only time I want you to put a negative in. And we get 140.1014. Now, this is not my angle. This is not my answer, so I got to use this whole thing. 140.101408. 101.408. Now, that's this angle right here. And because I'm using that angle, I have to use these sides here and here, because the angle has to be the one that's between them. So now I'm finally going to answer this question. The area is equal to 1/2 times 2.3 times 6.2 times the sine, don't use cosine, the sine of that angle. So 1/2 times 2.3 times 6.2 times the sine of that. And I get 4.57. So my area equals 4.57. This is rounded to the nearest square mile, so area equals 5. That's it. In a parallelogram, hopefully you can draw a parallelogram. I think I have a student right now that can't draw a parallelogram. I don't know if it's physically possible for him to. My sides are 12 and 20. The angle between them is 40. The question says, find to the nearest centimeter the shorter of the diagonals. So this looks like it's the shorter of the two diagonals. I'm hoping you see that as well. So I want to find that. I have side, angle, side. And anytime I have side, angle, sides, that's a law of cosines, which is nice because it's easy to find a side using the law of cosines. Remember that the thing you're looking for and the angle opposite have to go on the outsides of this law of cosines. That's just how it works. So we're going to start with x squared, and we're going to write that equal to 12 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 12 times 20 times the cosine of 40. That's just the law of cosines. You don't have to have it memorized. You just have to know where to find it. It's right there. All right, law of cosines. So I'll come back. Now notice that all of this stuff is just numbers. That's great. I can type that in. Remember, you're going to get a big number. So 12 squared, 20 squared, 12 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 20 times 12 times the cosine. Remember, it's not sine, it's cosine of 40. I can't tell you how many kids accidentally put sine in there. And you get 176.29. Now, this is not my final answer, so I'm not rounding this. 29866. 29866. Remember, that's way too big for a side of 12 and 20. What we're going to do, don't forget that final step. Take the square root of both sides. And I get 13.27. 13.27775. Rounded to the nearest centimeter. So the answer is x equals 13. Ka-ching. Almost done, kids. This is like my next 13. I've already done a couple 13s. This is my next 13. We only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problems left. A survey is mapping a triangular plot of land. So alive. Ring. He measures two sides and the angle formed by these two sides to be the lengths of 400, 200. So 400, 200. And the angle is 50 degrees. Looks like a piece of pie, not a triangle. Whatever. What is the measure of the third side of the plot of land to the nearest yard? Let's see. How the heck am I going to do that? Well, again, I got side, angle, side here. Side, angle, side. So I'm just going to use the law of cosines again. Oh, this one's not a bad one. This is a pretty big, this is a pretty easy problem. I'm going to call this, We'll call it y just to be different. And so the y and the angle opposite, they go at the beginnings and at the end. And then the other crap just goes in the middle. So we're going to do 400 squared plus 200 squared minus 2 times 400 times 200. And since those are all numbers, lucky me, I just get to plug all that crap in. So 400 squared plus 200 squared minus 2 times 400 times 200 times the cosine, don't use sine, common mistake, 50. I think I even wrote down sine. Sine. 97,100. I even wrote down sine using the law of cosines. How embarrassing is that? See, I told you it's a common mistake. I didn't even do that on purpose. 97,153. 97,153. I will still have a kid that turns this in as an answer. 98,24502. 24502. No way you're going to have a side 400, 200, and 97,000. Come on. Last step. Take the square root. And I get 311. So y equals 311.695. 695, round to the nearest yard. Y equals 312. I'll be back. Hey, I'm back. Oh, you're probably wondering, what do you mean you're going to be back? You weren't even gone. You didn't even go anywhere. There you are. You're still ugly. What did you call me? Dude, don't even call me that. And you call me bald. You call me bald? Anyway, I have to stop every once in a while just to stop the recording. Otherwise, my sounds like I'm a 1940 Kung Fu movie. And I don't want to sound like that. So two trucks out of a ditch. Okay, anytime you see the word force, you're going to be drawing a parallelogram. And we've got a 1,500 pound force, and we got a 2,000 pound force. The resultant is a 3,000 pound force. It says find the angle between the two applied forces. So what they're asking for is this angle. Please understand, when you're dealing with these forces questions and you're dealing with the parallelogram, you can't possibly find that angle because that angle does not exist in a triangle. What we want to work in is this triangle right here. And what we're going to find is this angle. Now, after I find this angle, if this angle's 50, this angle's 130. They are supplementary. So no matter what I find out for this angle, I can find this. I can use it to find this angle over here. So we're going to use this triangle right here. And because I have side, I have to use the law of cosines. Now, this is the hard case of the law of cosines. I want this angle right here. And because I want that angle, I have to use that side that's opposite that. So, here's how it's going to work. We're going to do 3,000 squared. Lots of zeros in this one. Mine equals 2,000 squared plus 1,500 squared minus 2 times 1,500. And we're going to call this x, by the way, times 2,000. Times the cosine of x. Now, this is the crappy case. 3,000 squared, what is that, 9 million? It's about what I made last year. 3,000, yeah, right. 3,000 squared, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 1 to 9 million. 9 followed by 6 zeros. Well, that's a lot of zeros. All right, is equal to. Now I'm going to put all this together, and then I'm going to put this together. So 2,000 squared plus 1,500 squared equals 6,250,000. 6,250,000. I'm just putting the commas in just to kind of keep track of the zeros. Minus 2 times 1,500 times 2 grand. 2 grand. 6 million. Cosine x. Yeah, lots of zeros. So I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to subtract off the 6,250,000 here. So I'm going to take the 9 million, take my salary, subtract off my year before salary. I got a $3 million raise. That was cool. And I get equals 2,750,000. So 2,750,000 is equal to negative 6 million cosine x. Oh my God, all these zeros are driving me crazy. So we're going to take this and we're going to divide by negative 6 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I get enter. That. Oh my goodness. So cosine x equals negative. You never thought you were going to get that. So this, remember, law of cosine is the only time I want you to put the negative in. We're going to do the inverse cosine of that. So inverse cosine of that. And we're going to get 117 degrees. So x equals 117.279. That's good enough. That's this angle. But they want this angle. And you have to remember that this angle and this angle are supplementary, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So really all I got to do is take 180 and subtract off that answer I got. So 180, subtract off that, and then decide 62,720, 387, rounded to the nearest degree, 63 degrees. A triangular plot of land has measures 5 and 7 and 8 meters. What is the area of the square thing? So I'm going to tell you right now that this is a 4-point question. It could actually be a 6-point question, but I'm going to make it a 4-point question. 5, 7, 8. Now, in order, the only area formula I know, and I know they use K. I hate that formula. So 1/2 A times B times the sine of C. So if I use this and this, I have to use that angle. Oops, don't have it. If I use this and this, I have to use that angle. Oops, don't have it. If I use this and this, I have to use that angle. Oops, don't have it. So my goal is I got to find one of the angles. So I don't care which. We're going to find this angle. It makes no difference. Again, law of cosines because I have side, side, side. And it's the hard case because you're looking for a stinking angle. So we're going to do, these are the things that are going to go at the beginning and the end. So 7 squared is equal to 5 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 5 times 8 times the cosine of x. 49 is equal to, let's see, 64 and 25 is 89 minus 80 cosine x. 49 minus 89 is negative, is it negative? Yes, negative 40 is equal to negative 80 cosine x. Divide by negative 40, or divide by negative 80. And I get cosine x equals 1/2. Wow, that was really simple. So that means I got lucky there. X has to equal 60 degrees. All right, I got lucky. The other two aren't so nice, 60 degrees. So now I'm going to use this side, and the angle in between them in this area formula. 1/2 5 times 8. I can't tell you we could just use random sides. It's got to be the two sides and the angle in between them to use this formula. Times the sine of 60. So type that in. 0.5 times, 0.5 times 5 times 8 times the sine of 60. 17.32. So area is equal to 17.32. It said to the nearest square meter. I'll just stop there. Area equals 1/10 of a square meter. So 17.3. We're almost done, children. I think we got 2 problems left. This is a biggie one, though. 2 forces of 55, 2 forces, boom, forces, of 30 and 55 pounds act simultaneously on an object. The angle between the 2 forces is 50 degrees. Find the magnitude of the resultant to the nearest tenth of a pound. So there's the resultant. So now we're going to transfer. Now wait a second. We just decided that this angle and this angle have to add up to 180. So that has to be 130. This is 30. And we are looking for x. So those have to go on the outside. X squared cosine 130. Then we're going to use the other two sides for the A and B stuff, or the B and C stuff. So 30 squared plus 50, 55 squared minus 2 times 30 times 55 times the cosine of 130. Now, because all of this is numbers, I'm just going to type it in my calculator. So 30 squared plus 55 squared plus 55 squared minus 2 times 30 times 55 times cosine, it is not sine, of 130. Big, big, big. 60, 46, 60, 46, 199.199, It said rounded to the tenth of a pound. Wait, hold on. This is x squared. So I got to take the square root of that to get that final answer, right? $77.757 rounded to the nearest tenth of a pound, 77.6. There's the first part. Now the second part, let me see if I can get rid of a little bit of this. The second part asks you to find the angle it makes between the resultant and the larger force. Well, this is the larger force. This is the larger force. And this is the resultant. So they're looking for this angle right here. So we're going to call that angle y. Y is opposite 30. X, which we now know, is opposite that. So we're going to use 77.6 over the sine of 130 is equal to y over the sine of 30. And we'll just go from there. Y times the sine of 130 is equal to 77.6 times the sine of 30. Where are these numbers coming from? All right, I just screwed that up. So totally messed that up. So let's start over again. It's going to be 30 over the sine of y. I knew we're looking for an angle. The last thing you're going to have to do is an inverse sine. And I didn't even have that. So remember, this is a side. You can't take the sine of that. So, messed up. 77.6 over the sine of 130. All right, now we've got it right. So 77.6 times the sine of y is equal to 30 times the sine of 130. You're going to divide by 77.6. So I get the sine of y equals whatever this turns out to be. So control division 30 times the sine of 130 divided by 77.6. We're going to use that angle thing we found. So 0.29615. Now, this is not my answer, so don't round. 296,151. At least 6 decimal places. Last step is always inverse sine. So I'm going to do inverse sine of that mess. And we get 17.2265. Y equals 17.2265. Rounded to the nearest degree, y equals 17 degrees. Now this says problem 17, but I actually think it's like problem 23 or something like that. So this diagram shows plans for a cell phone tower. It's called a guy wire. Those wires that run on the ground to the poles, they're called guy wires. Attaches to the top of the pole to make a 6. Now, look, you're looking at this diagram. Probably a 4-point question, could be a 6-point question. I see this diagram. The only thing that's going through my mind right now is the law of sines or the law of cosines. It's got to be. And I'm not even going to look at this right now. I'm just going to go through and find all these angles. Okay, this adds up to 180, right? That and that. So that's 65, so that makes this 115. 115 and 32, that's 147. That makes this 33. If that's 65 and that's 90, that's 155. That makes this 25 degrees. All right, I think I got it right. 80, 90, 90. And then, let's see, that's 65. And then, okay, so I got it all. And they eventually want the height of the tower. But again, in order to find the height of the tower, we got to go in between the side they share. So I'm going to put x over that thing, sine of 32, is equal to, the only thing I have is 100 over the sine of 33. Now, these sides probably are going to be pretty close. X times the sine of 33 equals 100 times the sine of 32, divide by sine of 33, divide by sine of 33, and I get x equals. Now remember, this is not our final answer, so you cannot round it. Control division. I already forgot what it is. That's how late it is. 100 times the sine of 32 divided by the sine of 33. 97.29, so 97.29, 7334, 7334. Again, that's not what we're looking for. That's just this x value here. So now I'm going to put x over the angle opposite it, 97.297334 over the sine of 90. And yes, I know the sine of 90 is 1. Stop telling me that. Getting angry. I'm going to make angry faces. I'm going to get my angry eyes out. All right, the tower, I don't know what we'll call it. We'll call it t. T for tower equals over the sine of 65. That's the thing that's opposite it. All right, so t times the sine of 90. Did you just tell me that again? Yes, I know this is 1, so we'll just get rid of it. Is equal to 97.297334 times the sine of 65. T is equal to, we're almost done, this times the sine of 65. Enter. 88.1833. 88.1833. 18133. 200. And then rounded to the nearest foot. So the tower is 88 feet tall. And I believe that's it. Because, oh my goodness, that took so much longer than I would hope for. I hope you muscled your way through all those problems. They're not terribly bad, but they are very important. They come up a lot on part 4s and 6s, 4-point questions and 6-point questions. Catch you on the flip side, homies. Goodbye.